All right, we will officially start. Welcome to Derek Scherer, the president of the St. Paul Saints. The Saints are part of the international league, the top tier league for Triple A minor league baseball. Derek has been working in baseball since 1994, setting attendance records along the way. He has moved north throughout his career, starting in Florida, moving up to Charleston, and then to Minnesota. Derek moved from the general manager to president in March of 2025. Derek, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Max. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, love you being here. Well, start. Bring me back to 1994. Let's go through the whole thing. Like, how did you, and maybe even younger than that, like, did you know you wanted to work in baseball when you were 5 years old? Were you a little league? Tell me everything.
Sure. I played just enough baseball to know that there wasn't going to be an opportunity to play for pay. But no question, when you go through that stage of your I don't want to say childhood, it's more as you get older in high school or even into college and start trying to you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel and, okay, I need to decide what I want to do with my life. There's no question, the place that I wanted to spend the most time was in a ballpark. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, going to minor league baseball games for the AAA affiliate there in Indianapolis, the Indianapolis Indians. And my friends and I, it was our place. It was the place where we were the most comfortable. It was where we wanted to be when we had time to be there. Loved to play baseball, loved to watch baseball, loved sports in general, but the place where I was the most comfortable was in a ballpark. So as I started trying to decide what path I wanted to follow in college, what path of study I wanted to follow in college, the thought was, okay, if there's a way to go to work every day in a ballpark,
Yeah.
I would want to do that. So what's the best path? And so I did study sports management, which in essence is the business of sports, at Indiana University. And I don't think I had any idea how that degree path was going to lead to a career. But that was the plan, was to pursue that degree and then find a way to jam my foot in the door of the industry somewhere.
Yeah.
When I did graduate and begin looking for entry level positions, I found out about an opportunity. I'll call it an opportunity with a team in Fort Myers, Florida, the Fort Myers Miracle, and what attracted me to it. I had a friend actually who lived in Fort Myers that knew I was graduating and knew I was looking to get into baseball. And they passed along a point of contact for me. They reached out to me and said, "Oh, Derek, there's a team here in Fort Myers. It's run by a guy named Mike Veek." And I said, "Wait a minute, but how do you spell that name?" And she said, Veeck. I'm like, no, you don't understand. That's not Mike Veek. That's Mike Veeck.
Yeah.
And Mike Veeck's father was Bill Veeck, a Hall of Fame Major League Baseball owner, one of the preeminent promoters of the game, an author, one of the true innovators in the sports industry. So many of the promotions that teams do today started from what Bill Veeck did when he owned the Cleveland Indians, the Chicago White Sox, the Milwaukee Brewers, and all these. The St. Louis Browns. He owned several teams over his career and was just an innovator, a promoter. And really started focusing on the fan experience. And this is the late 1940s, 1950s, 60s, and early 70s. He was focusing on this fan experience before anyone was focusing on the fan experience. But Mike followed in his footsteps. Mike worked with his father with the Chicago White Sox. He worked in baseball for years, left for a while, began working in the advertising business, got back into baseball with a gentleman named Marv Goldklang and a familiar name, Bill Murray. Mike left the ad agency world, went to work with those two with a team in Florida. And so long-winded story about Mike and Bill and Marv and starting this team, the Miracle in Pompano Beach, Florida. They moved it to Fort Myers. Fast forward to fall of 1993, and I'm looking to find a place in the baseball world. I find out that this guy, Mike Veek, is running a team in Fort Myers, Florida. I wrote him a letter suggesting that if there was in my mind, I felt as though if there was anybody that would understand a kid chasing a dream to be in this business, it would be a guy like Mike Veck.
Absolutely.
And wrote Mike a letter, went and interviewed with him. And shortly after that interview, I was offered a position making somewhere in the range of $250 a month, sharing an apartment with 3 other entry-level employees and the mascot dog. Mike was, as you see it with the St. Paul Saints, we have our mascot ball pig.
Yep.
Mike's always loved having live animal mascots.
Why not?
And in Fort Myers, we had an awesome golden retriever.
Yeah.
But for a period of time, the golden retriever actually lived with this group of 24-year-old, 23-year-old bachelor entry-level employees. So jammed my foot in the door there, and I've been in baseball ever since.
All right. I love it. So you went and you started in Fort Myers, and then you went to Charleston. Is that right?
Yeah, I was in Fort Myers for 7 years, which is an incredible place to learn the business. Not only is there a minor league team there that it's now called the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles,
Okay.
but at the time it was the Fort Myers Miracle, and the minor league team, our ownership group owned the minor league team. My role was with the minor league team, but we also had a partnership with the Minnesota Twins. Sort of coincidentally, that here we are, and here we are 32 years later, an affiliate of the Twins. But the Twins host spring training in Fort Myers. So our relationship as the minor league affiliate in Fort Myers was that we not only did we own and operate the minor league team, which was the single A affiliate of the Twins, we also operated spring training, the business aspects of spring training. The Twins front office would come down for 2.5 months every year, and they would worry about who's going to play through third, who's going to start on the mound on opening day. They worried about building their team and going through spring training. We ran the parking and the concessions and the sponsorship sales and all those things. So the business aspects. So I was there for 7 years, 4 of those years as general manager. Probably got my opportunity to step into a general manager position 2 or 3 years before I should have. I was very young, very green. Was very fortunate to get the opportunity early, and have some great people around me that I worked with, that were able to serve as an awesome safety net for someone who was probably pretty young, taking a leadership role, but was there for 4 years and then was given the opportunity to move to Charleston as general manager there with the Charleston River Dogs.
Okay. Talk me through the hierarchy in a baseball organization. So you said you started out entry level, but then it sounds like 3 years later you were the general manager. How many levels did you work yourself through, or was it, talk me through that?
So it's different in every market, depending on the size of the operation. In the Florida State League, the minor league operations are generally fairly small. So a staff of maybe 12 to 15 people. So not a huge staff. And your departments include promotions and marketing and sponsorship sales and ticket sales. For smaller operations. And in most cases in minor league baseball, everyone is wearing multiple hats. There may be a director of ticket sales, but they're also involved in the promotions and marketing. They're also involved in building operations. They also pull the tarp when it rains. That's just sort of the nature of minor league baseball. Now, as you get into larger markets, you get a little bit larger staffs and a little bit more departmentalization. But generally, minor league baseball teams run with fairly small staffs with people wearing multiple hats. So it started entry level and basically it's evolved a little bit over the 32 years. It's a little bit more nuanced now, but back in that day, I was trying to figure out a great way to say that other than back in my day. In the mid 90s, typically the entry level position was sit down at a table with a phone on it and the yellow pages. Okay. And for those who don't know what the yellow pages are, that was a phone book that had businesses and phone numbers in it. There are a lot of easier ways to find leads now than the yellow pages, but that was it. It was a phone and a yellow pages and a pad of paper, and start making phone calls, see who wants to buy tickets, see who wants to sponsor a between innings promotion, see who wants to buy an outfield wall,
Yeah.
billboard. So I did that for my first year. I did that throughout my career.
Yeah.
Frankly, that's been a part of my job for
Sa-
32 years.
Sales never end.
Absolutely. Generating revenue is certainly a key aspect of the business. So, but that was the foot in the door,
Okay.
and then began taking on additional responsibility over time. And I think I was the promotions and marketing director there for a year, and then assistant general manager for several months before taking over as general manager. I think at the end of the 1996 season, the gentleman that I was working for as general manager actually moved to Charleston
Mm.
to work as the general manager of the Charleston River Dogs. They were opening a new ballpark, building a new facility, and opening a new ballpark. He went there to open that up, which gave me an opportunity to step into the general manager role in Fort Myers. 4 years later, he moved on to another position, and I followed him into Charleston.
Yeah. Okay. So you just followed him at least one stop along the way.
Yeah, one stop.
Okay. And talk to me a little bit about I read a little bit about some of like innovative ticket sales and revenue generating and stuff like that. Like, talk to me a little bit about where those ideas came from, what made you successful in implementing them, and how they really carried your career this far.
Yeah, I mean, number one, any sort of innovation, creativity, big ideas. The key to that is that it's not just one person. Number one, I mean, that's so first and foremost. So much of what you may have seen or read about, I played a role in it, but it was always a team effort.
Yeah.
And I think that the number one thing that I could do as a leader, as a general manager with a minor league baseball team was listen and be open and be willing to take risks and to be open to creative, interesting, edgy ideas that have an opportunity to both be successful from a revenue perspective, to also be good for fans, but to also be good from a media perspective too. So there's so many different aspects, so many different thought processes that go into determining what makes a good idea. Our litmus test, particularly as it relates to promotions, was always kind of a four-part test. One, most importantly, is it fun? Like, is it something that people are going to smile, laugh, have fun with, or powerful? Is it an idea that might move people? We love to do things that tell stories.
Yeah.
And so is it fun or does it move people was sort of the overarching, it has to be one of those two things. But then it was, is it something that's going to sell tickets? Is it an idea that it is going to move people to buy tickets and want to come to the game? Two is there an opportunity to connect it with a partner? Is there, whether it's a community partner or a corporate sponsor, is it something that would be valuable for a partner to invest in? And then the third part is, particularly as it relates to promotional ideas, some of the bigger, more creative, more fun promotional ideas is the media going to be interested?
Right.
Typically, and the Saints are a great example of this, being a minor league team in a major league market, surrounded by a Major League Baseball team, an NFL football team, an NBA basketball team, a Big Ten university, an MLS soccer franchise, all of these things, an NHL hockey team. The last thing the media really is interested in from a sports perspective is the minor league team, particularly when we were an independent franchise.
Okay.
So here in St. Paul, when doing those, and it applies in other minor league markets too, but it was really important for us we didn't have the budget to spend to compete from a marketing perspective. We didn't have the marketing budget to compete with all those major league teams. So it needed to be more organic. We needed to create it ourselves. And oftentimes the bigger the idea, the more edgy the idea, sometimes controversial, sometimes maybe towing the line a little bit. But ultimately, Mike Veck would always say, if I have to light myself on fire, I'll light myself on fire to get some attention.
Yeah.
And figuratively, that's what we would try to do oftentimes with some of the bigger ideas.
And talk me through, so you just became president this year, March 2025. So you are newly president, and you are also, you said was the vice president of the ownership group. Is that right?
Yeah, so I've talked a lot about Mike Veck, Marv Goldklang, and Bill Murray, who built this franchise from the start in with opening an office in 1992, beginning to play baseball games in 1993, operating as one of the most well-known and well-recognized minor league baseball franchises in the industry, all the way through 2023, when ushering it through years as an independent team, working with the city of St. Paul and the state of Minnesota to build a beautiful new ballpark in 2000 and open in 2015, with that amazing partnership, and then continuing to operate as an independent franchise from 2015 until 2020, and then transitioning into affiliated baseball by becoming a AAA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins in 2021 and moving forward. So those three gentlemen own the franchise, and a couple of others. Van Schley was a fourth partner of that starting ownership group. Owned the team all the way up to 2023, when the team was sold to Diamond Baseball Holdings, which is an incredible organization with a gigantic. You talk about big ideas. They have the biggest idea, and that is to own a significant number of minor league baseball teams and figure out a way to and develop best practices to scale upwards of 50 minor league baseball teams. At this point in time, they own 45 minor league franchises, 45 affiliated minor league franchises out of 120.
Yeah, wow.
So just a huge vision, an organization full of creativity and risk taking, which was really attractive to me, and an organization that's willing to put itself out there and take risks and try to build something special. So I've been very fortunate to work in minor league baseball now for 32 years, and to have worked for Mike Veck, Marv Goldklang, Bill Murray for the first, I guess now 29 or 30 years, the first 30 years of my career, and now for the last 2 going on 3 years with Diamond Baseball Holdings. So, but the transition from general manager to president was twofold. One, I was given an opportunity to take a position that you mentioned called as a regional vice president, working with Diamond Baseball Holdings, which involves not only working with the St. Paul Saints, but also working with another 9 teams.
Right.
Of those 45, working with a total of 10 teams in what we call the Midwest region, and again doing our best to share best practices in a way that's going to make all ships rise.
Right.
We have a lot of great franchises in that 45, and we feel like working with each other, learning from each other. What the Iowa Cubs do in their market certainly has. There are certainly things that they do in Des Moines that can work in St. Paul. There are things that we do in St. Paul that can work in Omaha. There are things that they do in Omaha that can work in Wisconsin, and so on and so on and so on. And some really amazing franchises. So as a regional vice president, I knew that there would be some amount of time, a pretty significant amount of time spent working with other clubs. So we wanted to name a new general manager who would be dealing minute by minute, second by second, day by day, week by week with the Saints operation. I'm still very involved in the day by day, and St. Paul's still home, and the Saints are still my club. But we elevated an assistant general manager named Zane Heinzelman. So I moved into the president role with the Saints, took on the responsibilities of a regional vice president. We elevated Zane Heinzelman as general manager.
Awesome. How has your day-to-day changed since that happened? Like, what does your day-to-day look like now compared to maybe what it did last year, or maybe even 2 years ago? I'd imagine there's a lot more travel involved, a lot more communication with other teams. How has that kind of changed the landscape of your life?
You really hit it. Definitely travel. Certainly there a couple days a week on the road, visiting other teams, other cities, working with Zane and the rest of the Saints staff. We have the St. Paul Saints just have an incredible group of people, talented, creative, fun-loving, energetic. So, having St. Paul as a home and working with that group of people every day is something that I love every second of. So it's just finding that delicate balance of being able to be a part of these other operations, these other teams, and be helpful wherever I can there, and also have those clubs be helpful for St. Paul.
Right.
So that delicate balance of spending time doing that and accomplishing the goals that DBH has set forth for all 45 teams, and in particular the 10 teams in the Midwest, and then also being able to still maintain a pretty significant role here with the Saints. The relationships I have in this market, I've lived here now for 21 years, and the relationships developed with season ticket holders, with community partners, with sponsors. Those are, the best relationships. Those are relationships that I cherish so much and enjoy so much, and wouldn't ever want to step too far away from those.
Sure. And how does your day-to-day change kind of on season, off season, like in season, out of season? What does that look like in your day-to-day operations? How many staff do you guys have, and does that change seasonally?
It certainly changes seasonally from a building operations perspective or a game day operations perspective. Like we have so many part-time fan services staff members who come on board just to work the games during the summer. Full-time, we're generally somewhere in the 30, between 30 and 35 range. And that includes administrative staff, ticket sales staff, sponsorship sales staff, leadership, promotions, marketing, all the departments I've talked about before, but it also includes our building operations, our stadium ops staff, as well as our grounds crew. So within that 30 to 35 number, all of those are included. It's interesting. You mentioned the off season versus the season. I think if you would ask anybody working in minor league baseball now versus working in it 15 years ago, 25 years ago, that they're really, one of the evolutions of our industry is that there really isn't an off season.
Okay.
Like it's just a different season.
Okay.
Like it's a different time of year where you're doing a little bit different things. I find that we are as busy this time of year, if not more busy than we are during the season.
Okay.
There's an opportunity to work less hours because we don't have games. But during the season, we're going to, it's sort of that plan the work the plan.
Right.
This is the plan the work time.
Yeah.
We're planning the season. We're working with all of our partners, our season ticket members, going through that process of preparing them for the upcoming season through renewals, and we've got people beating the streets trying to sell new tickets and new season ticket memberships and new sponsorships, and come up with great new fun promotional ideas for fans, and what can we do to the ballpark to make people say wow when they walk in on opening day. Like we have a beautiful ballpark that's now going on. People still call it the new ballpark. It's actually been around for 11 years.
Yeah.
And that's something we take a ton of pride in. The fact that people still, when they think of CHS Field, they think, oh yeah, the new ballpark. I love the new ballpark.
Yeah.
So to the extent that we can keep it feeling new every year for the next 11 years, the same way they did for the first 11 years.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
So thinking about those things in the off season, what can we do to the ballpark that's going to make it feel refreshed and new and exciting for fans? So yeah, very much the plan, the work time is a very busy time of year. And then you get closer to the season and you roll into the season, and then it's work the plan. And ideally, if you've done a good enough job in the off season, the work the plan part is pretty smooth and easy. It doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah.
There are plenty of great ideas that you think are great when you develop them that maybe don't work out that way.
Yeah.
They make the best stories too, by the way.
Yeah.
But that the difference is the amount of time during the season.
Sure.
Really, most of us in this business look at the games as the payoff.
Yeah.
Like we're in the baseball business because we love to watch baseball. We love to be around it. So all of the planning and the sales and the marketing and the efforts that go into preparing for a season, the payoff is opening the gates and seeing 8,000 smiling faces come walking by you as they're ready to enjoy a Saints baseball game, or 22 years ago, a Charleston River Dogs game, or before that, the Fort Myers Miracle game.
Yeah. Very cool. Talk to me about the differences. Like, talk to me about your relationship with the players. Like, are you
Yeah.
talking to players frequently? Is that you talk to the coach and it relates to players? I mean, how much of your job is player responsibility?
Yeah, it's a great question, and that's probably from the outside looking in, that's probably the big misnomer of the role of a general manager.
Yeah.
At the minor league level, the role of a general manager is very different than the role of a general manager at the major league level in any sport. Um, at the major league level, the general manager is responsible for, excuse me. At the major league level, the general manager is responsible for all things between the white lines.
Okay.
Like that's their goal is to draft, sign, develop, build a roster that hopefully is going to win games.
Right.
There is some of that as a general manager in independent baseball.
Okay.
In independent baseball, when we were an independent team, the St. Paul Saints, we didn't have a major league affiliate. So we signed all of our players, whether it was Darryl Strawberry, who did play with the Saints for a year, or J.D. Drew, or Kevin Millar, or some of these other names that are actually very recognizable, or some that sort of came and went and were great contributors to the Saints. But we signed those players. We paid for them. We covered the health insurance. If they needed a surgery, we paid for it. We handled everything.
Yeah.
As a Major League Baseball minor league affiliate,
Yes.
we have a Major League Baseball partner in the Minnesota Twins who takes care of all things player development.
Okay.
They hire the field manager, they hire the coaching staff. All of those players have been signed or drafted by them. Those players are technically Minnesota Twins employees. When they're in AAA, which is the next step before making it to the major leagues, when they're in AAA, they're a St. Paul Saint. When they're in AA, they're playing for the Wichita Wind Surge. When they're in Single A, they're playing for the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles or the Cedar Rapids Colonels. So they're Twins employees, but when they're in our uniform, they're a St. Paul Saint. It's our job to provide the facility, to provide to create an environment for them that's going to be it's going to help them in their development journey, and hopefully put them in a great position to make it to the major leagues. It's really unique. Our relationship with the Twins, being only 9 or 10 miles away, is really unique.
Yeah.
In minor league baseball, there are a few AAA affiliates that are in close proximity to their major league partner, but none as close as we are. So we always sort of, when we're talking to players as they join the Saints on their way to the Twins, typically a AAA player is one step away from the major leagues. It feels in St. Paul like they're a half step away.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's just so easy for them to move players back and forth. We've had players play for the Saints in a day game and then drive over to Target Field, put on a Twins uniform, and play for the Twins in a night game. It just all depends on what the Twins need.
Sure.
If there's an injury, if they've had some rain and there was a doubleheader, so they needed an extra pitcher to save some of their arms. So it's a really unique scenario, really unique opportunity. But the biggest difference between a major league general manager and a minor league general manager is, in essence, a minor league general manager is much more of a chief operating officer than they are a baseball general manager.
Sure.
Particularly in affiliated baseball, it's or a team president. I think you find more often than not now that there are teams with a general manager and a president. It's just the way the industry's evolved. But those in those leadership positions, their job is chief executive officer, chief operating officer. Their primary focus is to build a team, a front office team, not a between the white lights team.
Yeah. Butts and seats, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Create a culture, which is incredibly important in our business. Like finding talented, creative, energetic people that enjoy working as part of a team. We spend a ridiculous amount of time with each other in our business.
Yeah.
I think every C-level of executive in any industry would say culture is really important. I think sometimes they mean it, sometimes they might not, and it's just corporate speak. There's just no way to operate in our world without having a great culture. There's no way to be successful if you don't have a group of people that are on the same page, bought into a common vision, enjoy being around people, enjoy being in around the game, and enjoy being around each other.
Yeah, and when you are going to talk to these other teams now, I'm sure you've seen some culture that is maybe 15 degrees off cool. That is kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure about this. What are some steps you take to help fix that? To say, hey, listen, your culture is off here, man. Like, we got to do something about this. What are some steps you take to right that wrong?
Yeah, it really just starts with leadership and make understanding that we're not hiring to fill a post. Of course, we need a director of ticket sales. We need a marketing director. We need a content development team. We need all of these things, but as we build that team, it has to be more than just finding somebody who has those skills. No question, you need somebody who has skills to fit each one of those areas of our business. But it's so important to make sure that not only are we hiring people with those skills, but we're hiring people who, again, are open to that common vision, who look forward to working a ridiculous amount of hours, who want to be part of this business, this industry, and who are passionate. I mean, passion's sort of a little bit of a buzzword, but there's really not a better way to describe it other than to be passionate about coming to a ballpark every day, and of course, I've said it a couple of times already, but that creativity, energy, but adding that passion to that mix is huge. So really, it all circles back to having the right leadership in place that's going to develop the right team. Then all the skill sets and the things that need to get done to accomplish the goals, those will come as long as you have the right group of people willing to work toward that common goal.
Yeah. You can teach a passionate person almost anything.
For sure.
Right. But teaching someone who has all the skills but isn't passionate, you can't really teach that. You can't really, put that into them.
It'll work for a while. It'll work for a while, but it won't last. It won't be good for that individual, or it won't work for the people around them.
Do you often find, interviewing people and talking to people that they maybe have a passion for baseball, but they don't have a passion for the rest of it, and therefore, like, you can't be in it just for the games. I know you said that that's your reward, but really, if that's the only reason you're in it, I would imagine that it'd be very difficult to get done what you guys have to do.
It is, for sure. And it's a conversation. Hopefully we do a good enough job on the front end to sort of sniff that out. Like, ideally we're hiring people that want to, and we're building a team with people that want to be part of the business, that want to be no question. It certainly helps to love the game and want to be around the game. And because if you're going to put in that kind of time, those kind of hours, you might as well be doing it around something that you love. And some people just love the people.
Yeah.
They love being around 8,000 people having a really good time.
Yeah.
Which is enough in a lot of cases. I would take that over somebody who I would rather have somebody who really doesn't care about baseball, but just loves being around people and trying to create an environment where thousands of people can have a great time.
Yeah.
Than have somebody who loves baseball, but isn't any of those other things. That's ideally we find people that love both.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, we do
a
good job of that, but it's on the front end. You can generally sniff that out on the front end if somebody is just wants to be in baseball, and in which case we let them know that this might not be the place for you. You may want to. These jobs are really hard to come by, but you may want to try to work in player development for a Major League Baseball team.
Right.
That may be the ultimate goal, and if that's the ultimate goal, it's probably not with us because they're not going to get that. They're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to scratch that itch the way they would working in maybe collegiate athletics or with a major league team.
Yeah, that brings up kind of an interesting point. Like I would imagine that you know that your player's ultimate goal is to move on to a major league team. M- But that's within your players. I would imagine that your team, it's not often that they're like, "Oh, I want to be the director of ticket sales for a minor league team to eventually grow into a director of ticket sales for a major league team." Does that seem about right?
It is actually, well, not for everybody.
Okay.
There are certainly some that use the minor leagues as a stepping stone for a major league job, the same way the players do.
Okay.
There's no question, and and all we can do is be incredibly supportive of that. Like that's when if put it this way, if I certainly wouldn't avoid hiring somebody if they told me in their interview process that my goal is to work for a major league baseball team or an NBA team or an NHL team. Um, be fully supportive of that. If they're the right person for our culture, they're the right person for this job. Very comfortable being a platform and to be helpful with that. We have, if you look around the Twin Cities, and you could also find that if you look around the country, there are former Saints employees, former Charleston River Dogs employees, former Fort Myers Miracle. There are people all over the sports industry that I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work with. Particularly as you look in the Twin Cities, for better or for worse, we hate losing great people. But if their goal is to move on to a ticket sales job with the Minnesota Wild or a sponsorship role, a corporate partnership position with the Minnesota Twins, I mean, we're excited to see folks have those opportunities. We've been fortunate. All of that said, we've been very fortunate and to have built a culture in St. Paul that with the Saints that people have wanted to remain a part of.
Yeah.
We have several staff members that have been with the team for 10, 15, 20 plus years. Wow. So that's something we take a great deal of pride in is building an operation, building a culture, building a team that loves what they do and wants to continue to do it as part of the St. Paul Saints. But we're also incredibly proud of former staff members that have moved on and had successful careers elsewhere in the sports industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Let's see. We talked a little bit about your work split in terms of how much time you're dedicating to the Saints versus how much time you're dedicating with other teams. When you think about more of your day to day, and even with those other teams, like those general managers or those presidents, we kind of talked about they're not sitting and recruiting. They're not watching other players to say, they're not building the team on the field.
Correct.
They're building the team around the field.
Yep.
And, but in terms of marketing, operations, that kind of stuff, how do you typically split your time?
Wow. Really, it's probably, I'd say it's heavily focused on the people, number one. So I think the primary focus is building and developing that team of people. I like the way you put it, the team around the field versus the team on the field. 32 years of doing this, I don't know that I've ever heard that phrase. So kudos. I think that's number one. That's the number one focus, and where presidents and general managers should spend the majority of their time is creating an environment, creating a plan that people can buy into and understand, and be willing to dedicate 40, 50, sometimes 80 hours a week to.
Right.
So that's number one. I think you'll find that presidents and general managers in minor league baseball are typically, I hate to get too deep into the business, but they're typically revenue driven.
Okay. Yeah.
People first. Now let's do what we can do to create. Well, and I say revenue driven, but there's a really wonderful understanding in our industry of how revenue is generated, and it's generated by creating great experiences for people.
Totally.
Like that's so while yes, there's a very intense focus on selling corporate partnerships, sponsorships, obviously building a really successful and creative ticket sales team, having a concession operation that provides incredible customer service and sells really fun, creative food items. I don't know if you're familiar with the Land of 10,000 Calories, but
Yes, I'm. And you guys have the? How long is the hot dog? That giant.
That's the
one.
6 foot.
Yes,
that's the 6 foot hot dog that weighs about 28 pounds.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions about that, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second.
But that's all part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like all of these different areas of our business. You call, like to corporate speak, you call them verticals.
Yeah.
But that's minor league baseball just isn't a very corporate business, and our organizational charts are far more like Venn diagrams than they are your typical pyramid chart. It's a lot of overlapping circles of responsibility and work that needs to get done. So, but from a leadership perspective, there's a pretty even split on all of those things.
Yeah.
With a heavy emphasis on building the team that's going to do all those teams and developing a plan that's going to help those teams accomplish the goals and move forward. But it all circles back to having the right team of people around the field that are going to create incredible experiences for fans when they come to your ballpark. That's just how simple our business is.
Yeah.
It starts with people in the ballpark and having as many the butts in seats conversation. Hotels do heads in beds.
Yeah.
We do butts in seats.
Seats.
The more butts in seats, obviously the better the business, and the butts in seats are driven by the experience that's provided.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think it's very fascinating to me how you can spend, I have no idea what your marketing budget is, but $20,000 a month on paid advertising. And that can get you so far, but the experience that somebody has that they tell 10 of their friends about can get you way further for way cheaper.
It's incredible. There's no question. I mean, we track, you're probably familiar with Net Promoter Score.
Yes.
That's in the sports industry that's definitely driving. I mean, it's driving a lot of businesses being able to have that to lean on and get a almost real time feel for what kind of experience our fans are having or customers in other businesses. But for us to send out a post-game survey and be able to understand within hours what kind of experience we provided, it's incredible. And to your point, the higher that NPS goes, it correlates very specifically and very directly with the word of mouth, that sort of organic marketing of one person telling 10 people that they had an amazing experience. And that means so much. It means just as much, if not more. But to your point, talking about the marketing spend, you can really screw up a great marketing
I have done it many times
by not delivering a great experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like our industry is getting, every year that goes by, the sports industry, from the major leagues to the minor leagues to college sports, continues to get smarter about utilizing analytics. And I mean, you hear about baseball and advanced analytics. That feels like it all started with baseball teams, but business analytics are just as important as the analytics on the field. And our industry as a whole every year just gets smarter about what to use and how to use it, how to gather the information, how to analyze the information and put it in play. And like you're talking about, NPS is one of the key metrics that we all use to make sure that we're providing the best experience. The last thing you want to do is invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in an incredibly well thought out ad campaign or marketing philosophy or approach, great promotions. If you don't deliver on the experience, none of that matters.
Right. Absolutely. So it sounds to me like your job kind of boils down very much to experience design and developing your people.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good synopsis.
Yeah. What we talked a little bit about, hiring people and making sure they aren't just baseball fans, right? They've got to be a lot more than that.
Sure.
Do you find recruiting to be pretty easy based on, the fact that you just kind of by nature have a cool job?
That definitely helps. I think it's evolved. I think the potential the candidate pool, I guess is the best way. The potential candidate pool that exists, the world of job seekers, I think are maybe even a little bit more savvy than we were, more well informed, a little bit more. Their thought process is more nuanced. Very simply, they're a little bit more picky.
Yeah.
Yeah. But than I was, or those that were entering this business.
Yeah. I think if you tried to pay someone $250 a month now and
Bingo.
Put them with the golden retriever, you'd have a lawsuit on your hands.
Exactly. Yeah. So there definitely was a time when you could post a position for working for any professional sports franchise, minor league, major league, you name it, and you'd have 500 applicants within minutes.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different ways to go to work nowadays. There's people doing podcasts.
Yeah, right.
And having a great time doing it. So it's
not getting paid for it yet, but we'll see.
Well, you'll get there. But it's just very competitive.
Yeah.
There are so many ways to go to work nowadays that don't really involve going to work too. So we definitely have to be more thoughtful about how we recruit, where we find recruits. Internship programs are a really significant part of our industry. Specifically with my experience with the St. Paul Saints, having an internship program and really focusing time and energy on hiring interns. A lot of times internship programs are who's willing to take the least amount of money to come to work and do a ton of grunt work. That was sort of the world I grew up in.
Yeah.
Obviously $250 a month with the mascot dog and doing everything that no one else wanted to do. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
The law certainly has changed.
Yeah, they do that.
How people get compensated. So interns now are compensated fairly, and I think the experiences that we provide them are really valuable to them. But more importantly than that is the process, the time that we spend to hire interns.
Okay.
The investment we make in hiring interns really helps. That's how we build our candidate pool.
Yeah.
I'd much rather hire somebody who just spent 8 months or 6 months with us, learning what the culture is, learning about all the various aspects of our operation, already sort of proving themselves with the team and the people around them. And you've just significantly cut the risk of hiring an entry-level employee by having that person work under your roof for, again, 6, 7, 8 months. So that's probably the best way. That there are times now that we're looking to hire somebody with a specific skill set and multiple years of experience that we go out and to the market and try to find that candidate. But in a perfect world, and I think you see that if we were to pull up the Saints website or any number of minor league baseball teams websites, I think you'd go down the list and oftentimes intern.
Cool.
And that's certainly the way our front office looks right now. Our general manager, our assistant general manager, and several other key staff members were Saints interns. And have spent their entire career, 10, 15 years with the Saints. So it's in the more challenging hiring climate that we live in now from the 1990s, that is really important for us.
Yeah, very cool. It seems a little bit, I feel surprised about the Saints seem like they're run a little bit more like I would expect a small business to be run. 30 employees, a lot of overlap. Do you find that to be common in baseball and minor league baseball specifically? And do you feel like with Diamond Baseball Holdings that is a similar culture there, or do you find that to be a little bit more corporate?
Yeah, it's interesting. So 100% yes, that minor league minor league baseball teams are small businesses at their core,
Hmm.
but they're high profile and they're so unique in the impact that they have
Right.
on their communities. There's such an incredible opportunity as working with a minor league baseball team, or being a part of a minor league baseball operation to have a significant impact on a community
Hmm.
and be such a part of the fabric of that community, which sort of leads me to your question about Diamond Baseball Holdings. Diamond Baseball Holdings is it's 45 teams and probably growing. It's has originally been funded by a private equity firm. So it's a really unique approach
Right.
to building a company around minor league baseball. What's been magical about Diamond Baseball Holdings is that yes, there is this corporate infrastructure because in order to operate 45 small businesses, they're a multi-unit
Hmm.
organization like that. There needs to be a corporate infrastructure, but they are insanely focused on making sure that the teams operate hyper local.
Okay.
And they understand like the individuals who founded Diamond Baseball Holding, a gentleman named Peter Freund and a gentleman named Pat Battle, the two, Pat Battle, the chairman of DBH, and Peter Freund, the CEO. This was sort of their dream, their vision,
Hmm.
and two people that understood minor league baseball, so they knew what they were getting into.
Right.
They knew how much Peter Freund had been in minor league baseball ownership for I think 15 plus years before starting DBH. So very aware of how minor league teams operate, how important they are to their communities, how different each community is.
Hmm.
We're talking about teams as far northwest as Vancouver, in Canada.
Yeah.
And I just had a brain lapse edit out my brain lapse on is it British Columbia? Vancouver,
I
British
have
Columbia?
no idea. I know it's in Canada.
I should know my Canadian provinces better. But from Vancouver, from as far northwest as Vancouver to as far southeast as Birmingham, Gwinnett, Georgia,
Yeah.
Spartanburg, South Carolina, and obviously as far north as St. Paul, Minnesota, Syracuse, New York. So teams across the map of both the United States and, as we talked about, Canada. They're just it was so important to understand how different a region is, how different a city is, how different a community is, and how different each minor league team has had to be to relate and become a part of that community and become a part of the fabric of that community. So yeah, no question. It's just a really interesting dynamic
Yeah.
of building this larger corporate entity that supports and helps these 45 very unique operations grow.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I would imagine, and that's probably quite the challenge for you. If each market's a little different, like, yes, you're in the Midwest, but I'm sure each market has its own nuances and
question.
challenges.
Yeah.
And, I mean, no, you mentioned, and I agree, whatever works in Iowa could work in Wisconsin, but I'm sure there's stuff that just doesn't translate
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I really can't do this here.
No question. St. Paul, I mean, we always, our common phrase here as people, as individuals who've worked for the Saints for a long time, we're very fortunate that St. Paul gets it. Like this, and keep in mind, fans attending, I say St. Paul gets it, 100% true. Fans attending Saints games are from all over the Twin Cities. So it's not just folks from St. Paul, but just very generally, our audience knows who we are. They know what we're about. They let us take risks. They let us stub our toe every now and then with a crazy promotional idea, but then they have a lot of fun with some of the bigger fun ideas. Painting 55,000 Twister dots on the field and doing the world's largest game of Twister, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Animal House with a full stadium food fight.
Yeah.
We've done some really dumb things. And fortunately, we're in a market that really enjoys things that are a little bit edgy and fun and unique. And there's some communities that actually lean a little bit more heavily into just a quiet afternoon at the ball game.
Yeah, the purity of baseball, maybe. This is the great American pastime, and we don't want any of your shenanigans around here.
So there's no, and every year that goes by, I think fans in every market enjoy more shenanigans. They certainly enjoy a bigger experience. I think that the days of the quiet, calm afternoon in the ballpark.
Yeah, go watch golf.
Right. I think for the most part, minor league fans now are on some level, and it may be on different levels in St. Paul than it is in Louisville or than it is in Wichita or in Omaha. But on some level, what really brings people to the ballpark, obviously they want to come watch a ball game. Like they're coming to watch a ball game, but really above and beyond that, that's just sort of the hook to the fun, right? The ball game in the ballpark is the thing that brought those people together. But once they're in that building, it's about being together. It's about laughing, smiling, enjoying time with each other, being entertained, maybe seeing something they haven't seen before. But it's just different degrees in each market.
Yeah. I mean, I've certainly been to a handful of Saints games in my time, and I could never tell you who won. I could probably not even tell you who we played. Like, it's really not about that. Like, for me, it was always about like, hey, this is a cool thing to do. It's baseball, which is fun and exciting, but it's really about like all the other things, and you're not spending as much money as you would on a major league ticket. So I don't feel bad about not having my butt in a seat. Like, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to go experience this. I'm going to walk on the grass over here, and I'm going to go try this food, and I'm going to go do that. And it's much more about the holistic experience than it is about the baseball.
No question.
And I, as a fan, then don't feel bad about like, oh man, I just spent $300 to eat a hot dog. Like, really, a Saints game is much more affordable. It makes more sense to just go, hey, I'm going to go with my friends and whatever. And I mean, you guys do fun stuff. Like I was there this year. We went to the puppy day, the day where you could bring your dog. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best.
Which that's a perfect example. There's not a place, there's not a ballpark in America or Canada for that matter, where fans don't love a dog day.
Yeah.
Right. That's something that can be done everywhere. But there are other times there are things that just may not work. For years, a mascot pig, for example.
Yeah.
Maybe that doesn't resonate in every market, but we're in St. Paul. St. Paul used to be called Pig's Eye Landing. So we needed a pig. Over our years of existence, the Saints have had promotions that just, like I've mentioned a few times, that sort of pushed the limits between innings in ball games. The grounds crew will come out and drag the infield, right? Smooth it out, make it great for the rest of the game. For years, we not only did we drag the infield, but we dragged the infield in drag, and we never said anything about it.
Yeah,
it wasn't introducing the grounds crew in drag. It was they just walked out in drag and they dragged the infield.
Yeah, I love it.
So things like that may work in the Twin Cities, and maybe they don't work in another
Probably
city.
wouldn't do it in Kansas.
I think that's really the differentiator. Just everybody's coming to the ballpark to have fun, laugh, smile, spend time with friends and family. But just how each team presents that fun. There are a lot of things that are just no-brainers. We call them non-negotiables.
Yeah.
That just make sense to do in every ballpark. But you have to do it in a way that makes sense for your community.
Right. Talk to me a little bit about things that surprised you. I'm sure that you know, as we talked about with the small business, I know that your job probably ebbs and flows a lot. You know, you maybe lose your chief marketing officer and suddenly you have to take on more responsibility there. You lose your
Sure.
general manager or whatever. You know, what's something that has really surprised you that you really liked, that you were like, oh man, when I got into sports management, you know, you probably didn't expect to do as much business as you really
Yeah.
do.
No, that's a great point. That's a
Like,
great point.
what did you fall in love with that you really weren't expecting?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Nobody, very few high school kids, you know, you go through the process of picking out your dream college and
Hmm.
where am I going to spend the next 4 years of my life, or 6, or whatever it's going to be. Um, and what am I going to study? What do I want to do? Not very many kids select a college and look for the sales degree,
Right.
right? Like where's that degree where I
Yeah.
can become a salesperson?
Where I can go through the phone book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does that exist? And I think what when I was in college, Indiana University had a great sports marketing and management program, but they never really told you, if you want to get into minor league baseball, be prepared to sit in front of a phone and pound out phone calls trying
Yeah.
to sell ticket packages. Um, as over the last 32 years, as those programs have developed, they do a much better job of that now. I think the young people that we're interviewing for jobs out of college understand more what they're getting into than I did when I did it. But I think that's the thing that surprised me the most. Like, I knew I wanted to work in baseball. If you would have asked me when I was a junior in college what I want to do, I probably would have said I want to be a general manager of a professional baseball team. I would have had no idea what I was talking about. But that's what I want to do. So I think the thing that surprised me was how much I did enjoy that part of it.
Yeah.
And the sales part was really just sort of that was sort of the ancillary thing. What I found out, that how much I enjoyed picking up the phone and having conversations with people. I enjoyed setting up a meeting to go sit down in a furniture store and talk to the owner about this really fun idea we have, or learning about the fun ideas they might have
Right.
about how they could work with a minor league baseball team. To be able to like match up, to sit in a room with a bunch of really creative people and develop ideas and brainstorm and throw the spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, and then go out into the market and test those ideas out
Yeah.
on different business owners, and whether they're big or small, and see which ones stick and see which one people might be willing to invest in. That was, I think, the selling part was the thing that I wouldn't have expected that I would enjoy, but it wasn't so much the selling, it was the interacting, meeting new people, thinking creatively, and trying to develop ideas that meet people's needs. I just would have, as a college student, I would have never dreamt that I would enjoy being a salesperson. And then as I grew in the business and got involved in more aspects, more areas of more verticals, then I just realized how much I loved all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very relationships driven, it seemed like.
It very much so. Relationships that start inside the building and then expand outside of the building, whether, again, community partners, sponsors, municipal partners. Certainly you can't, I mentioned earlier, the public-private partnership that between the state and the city of St. Paul and the Saints that got CHS Field built. Like those don't happen without really strong relationships and partnerships with your municipal partners. So all of those things are just so much fun. And as an RVP working with these other, as a regional vice president working with these other teams, it's really fun to see how those relationships develop in other communities, and see how the general manager or the president in that community and with that club have developed those relationships.
Yeah. So if you could talk to yourself, you're a junior in college that says, I want to be a general manager of a professional league, what advice would you give?
Man, that's a tough question. What advice would I give? I've been very fortunate. So I would have never dreamt that when I, like I said earlier, jammed my foot in the door in Fort Myers in 1994, I would have never dreamt that 32 years later I'd be talking to somebody about my 32-year career
Yeah.
in minor league baseball. So I don't know. I would almost be afraid to give myself advice that might screw it up. I'm afraid anything I would have told myself,
Yeah.
I could
Write
tell
that
myself.
letter. Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be happier. I'll tell you one quick story. I mentioned writing the letter. The friend of mine told me about this, told me about the team, told me about Mike Veek, who was the president of the team. And then told me that if I wanted to try to get a job there, I should write a letter or I should reach out to Karen Comiskey, who was Mike Veek's executive. Mike Veek. I keep saying that because it was a joke back
Yeah.
then, but Mike Veck, because that was the mispronunciation when I was told. But Karen was Mike Veck's executive assistant, and so I picked up the phone and I called Karen and I said, I'm Mrs. Comiskey, I'm looking for a job and in baseball. I'm looking for a way to get into the business, and I would love to. How would I go about applying for a position there? And she told me, she gave me the address and said I should write a letter to Mike. So I wrote the letter, and in the first paragraph of the letter, I spent the first couple of sentences talking about how helpful Ms. Comiskey was and thanking her. And then I went into sort of what I was hoping to accomplish and how I would love to come work for the Fort Myers Miracle and all of those things. And I was working at a soccer facility in Indianapolis. That was I had done an internship there, and I was still working as a part-time employee while I tried to land a job in baseball. And I was working nights at the time because we had some games. So I'm a typical 22, 23-year-old, probably had been out the night before with some friends and didn't have to go to work until 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever it was, for that night's game at the soccer facility. And the phone rings. I'm relatively late in the morning and I'm still asleep. Answer the phone and kind of groggy, hello. And the voice on the other end of the phone says, I'm calling for Derek Scher. This is Michael Veck. And I'm kind of giving it it's like, okay, trying to shake the cobwebs and Mr. Veck, this is Derek. So great to hear from you. And he said, please call me Mike. My father, my father was the only Mr. Veck was my father. And he said, hey, I just want to tell you, I really appreciate the letter you wrote. Your parents, actually, I take that back. He started by saying, your parents must have done a good job.
Wow.
And I said, excuse me? And he said, your parents must have done a very good job because the letter you wrote tells me that you're thoughtful and you think about the people you interact with. So that was what stood out to him was the letter that was written. And so like when I play that forward to me as a person over the last, I think I've been in a role that hires people now for 28 or 29 years. And it took me a while to even really understand this. As I probably didn't understand this as well when I was 26, 27, 28 as I do now. But the thing, I think if I was going to go back and give advice to myself, and fortunately I was able to, I enjoyed this, so it wouldn't be a huge stretch, but to just understand how important the ability to communicate is. And it's become even more important as those 32 years have passed. There are so many ways to communicate now without sitting across a table with somebody and looking them in the eyes and having a conversation. And what I would tell myself back then is how important that's going to be. I wrote that letter and I had no idea what kind of impact it would have.
Right.
And then when I had an opportunity to sit down in front of Mike Veck, I really did understand the impact that it had and the impact my sitting in front of him having a conversation had. So that would be my advice to myself. That's since become my advice to every young person I talk to
Mhm.
looking to jam their foot in the door the way I was fortunate enough to do
Mhm.
is what's going to separate you. Certainly your resume is important. Having the skill set, having the experience that you have certainly helps, but anything you can do to get across the table from the person who you want to hire you,
Mhm.
um, whatever it takes to make that happen, do it, and understand how important it's going to be for you to be able to have that conversation and to communicate
Mhm.
well. Because again, there are just so many ways to do it without that happening. That's what makes people stand out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm a St. Thomas alumni, and I was talking to one of their employees in their career development center yesterday. And we were talking about kind of interviews like this, and she will share this with her students to say, hey, this is how you might conduct an informational interview. You don't have to have a whole podcast. You can just do it. You can just do it. And I asked her, I said, what's the thing that stops people now? Like, what is the thing? And she said, a lot of these students that are freshmen in college now were freshmen in high school when COVID hit, and they lack the ability or maybe drive to have conversations with strangers, and they just don't want to, and
Yeah.
it makes them very nervous, and it's very difficult to break through that social barrier of like, hey, it's okay, you can just email anybody. I find that students are almost as scared of being said yes to when they email someone and
Yeah.
say, hey, would you mind, carving out a half hour for me to just chat with you and ask you questions and blah, blah, blah. They're almost as scared of a yes as they are of getting ghosted.
Yeah.
So either way, they're scared. They're like, either they're gonna ignore
Yeah.
me and then I feel bad that they ignored me, or they're gonna say yes and then, oh my gosh, I have to have a conversation with a stranger. So being able to communicate and really, I think at that age particularly, it is okay, and I'd be curious to know your take on this, to, I'm going to say, not give back, to know that you're just kind of taking from this person, and in 10 years you're going to give to a student. And that's just kind of how the wheel turns, and that's okay. I think students often are like, well, why would they want to talk to me? I have nothing to offer them. It's like, well, that's not the point. In 10 years you will understand how gratifying it is to have someone reach out to you and say, hey, will you tell me your story?
Yeah. No, 100% right. And I I can't even begin to count the number of times I've said to somebody, I'm happy to do this because of how grateful I am to the people who did it for me.
Right, right.
Um, so yeah, you're 100% right. Like that fear of imposing on somebody, I think they're going to be surprised when they realize just how and unfortunately not everybody is. There are probably plenty of scenarios where a door gets slammed in someone's, or you know,
You worked in sales. I'm sure you got hung up
for
on so
sure.
many times. Like,
For sure. But yeah, we used to joke, we used to count the number of no's
yeah,
like as a goal.
yeah,
Like if it takes 10 no's to get one yes, all right, I'm up to 9 no's.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got a yes
It's
coming
the next
sometime
one.
soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for the most part, um, people who have had some success, who have moved throughout their careers
Mhm.
and are now given the opportunity to pay it back.
Right.
Generally, they're super willing to do that. I
Mhm.
know that's something I've always enjoyed doing, and the reason you mentioned is exactly right. It's because there were people who did it for me.
Mhm. Well, you've had a pretty amazing 32-year career. What's next? I mean, you kind of are taking on this new role, relatively new to
Yeah,
you. You mentioned that you've got 45 teams right now, and I know they want to grow. What's
yeah,
next for you though? What do you want? What do you want to do?
yeah. It's I love doing what I'm doing. Right now, this transition to the president role with the Saints and the regional vice president role with DBH has been really, really exciting. It's been a lot of fun to sort of, I talked about the opportunity you have to develop relationships in a community. It's been really fun to expand
Mhm.
that community while still being able to plant my feet firmly in St. Paul with the Saints
Mhm.
and really maintain those relationships. I I don't know that the regional vice president role is very new. Started in January, February of this year.
Mhm.
So that's sort of a work in progress.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm ready to think about what's next beyond that.
Okay.
Just really figuring that out, figuring out how I can be the most valuable to the folks that I get to work with at each of those teams. Like how can I have an impact and be helpful to them while still doing what I love to do with the Saints. Like that's and honestly, if that question was asked of me 5 years ago, I probably would have said something similar.
Yeah.
I really love what I'm doing. I don't know that I have a what's next beyond continuing to do it and hopefully doing it better each year. That's the goal.
Yeah. And I would argue that that's probably attributed to your success. You know, you're not trying to always drive the next thing. You know, I think that kind of ambition and drive is obviously critical to a degree of success, but at the same time, if you're really focused on what's in front of you and making that the best it can be, those opportunities will come.
Yeah. And I've been, I think the people I've had an opportunity to work with make that really easy to say. Like just and there certainly when you do it for 32 years, it's not, there are several folks that have been around for big chunks of those years, but there's also been groups of people that have sort of come and gone within that time, whether it was in Fort Myers or Charleston or here in St. Paul, all of which I've learned from and had an opportunity to grow from knowing them and working with them. But some of my most valuable friendships have come from the people that I've worked with and continue to work with. So that's the other thing that makes it really easy to say, I'm not looking for that. I'm not necessarily looking for that next thing because I love what I'm doing. I love where I'm doing it. And I love the people with whom I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So that makes it really easy to answer that question in that way.
Very cool. Well, when do season tickets go on sale?
Now.
Season tickets are on sale now.
Season ticket memberships on sale now. I think mini plans just went on sale. So if you don't want to do a half season or a full season, you can do a 10-game plan or other packages. We just announced recently that we're going to be hosting what's called Cosmic Baseball.
Oh, okay.
Which last year we had Banana Ball.
Yep.
We had 2 games of just insane craziness. The combination of we've always said the Saints are a circus.
Yeah.
The Bananas take it to a different level. They've kind of disregarded the rules of baseball.
Yeah. I mean, if we would argue that you're, 40% baseball and 60% entertainment, I would argue that they're probably just 100% entertainment.
Yeah. So we still do love being a part of the game of baseball as it traditionally has been held. We love being a Twins affiliate. We love seeing those amazing prospects come through and seeing both for the Twins and for the visiting teams, and then providing the circus around that. The Bananas do it a little bit differently, and Cosmic is the same way. It's basically glow in the dark baseball.
All right.
So you start a game in the light, you turn the lights off, and you turn the traditional lights off, turn on the black lights.
Black lights, yeah.
And now the fans are glowing, the teams are glowing, the ball's glowing, and they figured out a way to play a game. So we're in the meat of that process, developing our off-season schedule, which includes a holiday light show at CHS Field, the Glow Holiday Light Show.
It's got the zip line, right?
It does.
Yep. Okay.
And a giant slide and millions and millions of lights. So we've got that coming up in November and December.
Yeah.
Planning our 75 game promotional schedule. So it's a fun time.
Yeah.
Give us a call. saintsbaseball.com.
Yeah. Buy your tickets.
We're here
Get
for
out
you.
there. Sorry. Let's rewind. Let's talk about this hot dog. Okay. So the 6-foot hot dog. My question is, I have many questions. I come from a culinary background. My mom was a chef. So to me, I saw this and I was like, okay, I need the technical specs of how this even works. Like, do you cook it all as one long hot dog? And then the bun. Yeah. How do you even get a bun that big?
So definitely not the chef. I do not have a culinary background.
Okay.
I played a significant role in pushing the chef to develop an idea.
Yeah.
Played a role in naming Once
Yeah.
the chef came up with a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a great we tremendous chef and a very creative concession operation, and we challenged them with let's come up with something big and fun and bold and something that blows people away. And they came back with the 6-foot hot dog, which we thought was amazing. But then we started trying to think of how we could what would make it interesting, what would make it marketable.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in the land of 10,000 lakes. And we just kind of threw the idea out. Is there any chance you could make this 6-foot hot dog a minimum of 10,000 calories?
Minimum of
A
10,000
minimum
calories.
of 10,000 calories. And they're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Yeah.
So that's why when you see that thing, it has jalapeno poppers, it has cream cheese, it has shredded, it has pulled pork. But to answer your question, it's I think it's 3 buns.
Okay.
And I think it's 6-foot-long hot dogs.
Got it.
But what the tie that binds is all the stuff.
Yes.
So like if you look at it as 3 buns with 6 hot dogs, it's really not that, that's 6 hot dogs and 3 buns.
Right.
It doesn't make it one beast. What makes it one beast is when you cover up. You don't see that it's 6 hot dogs.
No.
You just see this mess of food. But the thing that was really fun about it, like that, when you dig into the business of concessions, like you're looking for a margin in the food industry, right? It's going to cost you X to make something. You're going to charge Y, and ideally there's a nice margin in there.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't have. We sell it, I think, for $130.
Yeah.
And it still has almost no margin.
Yeah.
So it's the definition of a loss leader.
I was going to say, yep, that's your loss leader.
It is the definition of the loss leader. And we thought to ourselves, this is not going to be, that's fine. We don't need a margin on this. We'll be lucky to sell 1 per game.
Yeah.
I think we ended up selling 5 or 6 per game.
Wow. Okay. I was just going to ask, do you know the numbers on it?
I don't have them.
That's
I don't have them
crazy.
exact, but I know there were slower games, maybe 1 or 2, bigger games, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And to see the presentation was the most fun. This giant board being carried out and set down in front of people. But much fun.
For 10,000 calories, really, like I can't do the math, but that's not like dollar per calorie. That's really not that
it's not
much.
bad.
Like it's kind of a steal.
And there were people who bought it with 4 of them and they were out of their minds. The majority of people that actually killed it were doing it with 10 or 12.
Right.
And so a lot of fun. And that's just those types of things are what make working in minor league baseball so much fun, because you really can throw anything at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
And the phrase "there's no bad idea" is 100% true. There are ideas that you have to figure out a way to make them work, but they're all great ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Well, Derek, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Go buy your season tickets. Get the 10,000 calorie hot dog. You heard it here first. It is for real, minimum of 10,000 calories. That'll feed you for like a month. So there you go. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.